What happened with you leaving Barstool though? I didn't get to ask you about that because
Yeah.
that's not like a lot of that wasn't discussed. You don't have to say anything you don't want.
No,
But
no. So I worked at Barstool 2 different times. The initial time, that's actually wild. So I originally got hired in 2020, March of 2020. I remember I went up to New York. I think it was March 12th of 2020. I remember the day before I went there, the first coronavirus case was reported in New York City. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. Wonder what will come of this. And I remember getting on the train that day. There was no one on the train. It was insane. The Amtrak, there was no one on it.
Yeah.
And I remember going up and we did a radio show that day. And I remember Portnoy said to me, he asked me to come into his, because I had planned to start. The NCAA tournament was about to begin.
Oh,
And
that's your fucking Super Bowl.
And that was my first kind of foray into Barstool. And I remember as the week went on, they canceled the tournament.
Yes, I remember that
And I thought, holy shit, this is real now. I remember Dave said to me, he goes, we're kind of stuck right now. He goes, just take the summer and let's see if football comes and we'll bring you back. You know, you could start then. And I remember I went home that night and I thought, wow, I have probably the worst luck in the world. I finally get a job at Barstool. I'd been in content for 10 years. This was going to take me to the next level, and I can't start because of this. And that's actually ultimately what led me to lose weight. I remember I said to myself, you know what? I have a few months here. Nothing's going on. I'm going to finally deal with this now. And September came that year, and I think I remember it was like no fans and stuff.
Oh, yeah, in the stands.
Yeah. And I remember I got hired back, and I worked till the following February. And I had a beef with a coworker, this guy Rico, and it was
Bosco?
Yeah. It was really bad because it got really toxic for me, man. Like
what was the beef over?
I couldn't tell you. He just doesn't like me.
Yeah.
And what he would do is he would go to like coworkers and be like, if you work with Nadu, we're done. I'm not working with you. And he kind of just fucking ruined it. Like it got really bad, like to the point of I had a podcast. He tried to like sabotage it. He actually was hiring people to like attack me on the internet through burner accounts.
Oh no.
My family. It was really bad.
Your family too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And Portnoy actually found out about it. And it was bad for a while, and it just got really toxic. And I, as someone who, and I've never really talked much about this, but I've always been able to make money off the internet. I always know that if the going got tough and I left Barstool, I could go right back to what I was doing. And I thought, you know what, this isn't what I want. I'm just gonna leave. I don't want to deal with this. And I ended up resigning. And I was always connected to Barstool. I'd always was involved with shit, and occasionally I'd be involved with something that was going on. And I remember at the end of 2021, I got asked to do Rough and Rowdy, which is the boxing. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember all this content.
Yeah. One of the employees, he called me out, Jersey Jerry, and we fought December 10th, 2021. And,
in West Virginia.
Yep.
No laws.
Yep. I wasn't an employee there at the time. We did really well. I made a bunch of money, and I went back to doing what I was doing. I actually started to sit down in 2021 that year. And I remember 2022 came, and Barstool called me. It was June of that year, 2022, and they said, "Hey, we're doing this." It was a Barstool Idol. It was called. It was essentially, I think, 12 people vying for jobs at the company.
Yeah.
And we did like all sorts of different things, like. We made our own videos. We did content, like all sorts of different things. And they called me and said, we'd like for you to participate in it. Now, you're not going to win. But we know
they told you that out front.
Basically. You'll get a bunch of views. It'll be great for your profile. And maybe you can impress Dave a little bit.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? It was June. I'm like, fuck it. I'll do it. They said, you got to come to New York for, I think it was 4 days. And every night, someone would get voted off. It was like Survivor, basically.
Yeah. But planned out ahead of time.
Yeah, at least for me. But we did all these competitions. And I remember that day Dave was like, Nadu was great this week. Like, maybe he'll come back. Maybe he wants to come back. And I ended up going back that few months later. And
So you always maintained a good relationship
yeah,
with
I
him.
always maintained a good relationship. And then 2023 came, basketball ended, and my contract was coming up. I had thought it was coming up. It was a year contract. I had signed the contract in, I think, June of 22, so it was coming up in summer of 23. And Dave's guy, Gaz, came to me and said, hey, you know, what are you thinking for another year? Do you want to stay? We want to have you back. We're going to pay you $10,000 more. And I said, oh, cool. He's like, do you have a number, though, you're looking for? We're willing to work with you. And I had talked to people that worked there at the time, and I'd found out what they were making, or at least what they told me they were making. And I had looked at the sit down. I was making money on YouTube. I was making money on this podcast. I had all sorts of things I was doing. I was doing a lot of gambling content. And I thought 200 for me was the number I wanted. So I went to him. I said, 200. He said, all right, let me talk to Dave. Go to Dave. And Dave goes, 200. He goes, and
He said
basically,
that just like he definitely said it.
yeah, he basically was just like, we're not doing 200. He's like, we'll bring you back. And then I had found that, I guess in the contract, it was a year contract with an optional year for year 2 at their option.
Their option, yeah.
Which they picked up and said, we'll bring you back and we'll give you $10,000 more. He said, you could take that or walk. I walked. That day, they do the rundown, which is their daily thing they do. I'm the story.
Hashtag they do.
Yeah, it was a huge
remember
video. I remember the day after the New York Post puts me in it. You look that up. Jeff Nadu, New York Post. And I told you off the air. So my father,
Dave Portnoy calls Jeff Nadu selfish pig over Barstool Sports exit contract dispute.
So my dad.
I think he wanted 200 a year.
My dad calls me and he goes, "You see her on the New York Post?" I said, "No." He goes, "You should be proud of that headline." He said, "You wanted what you wanted and you left." And they made a big deal about it, and it was a problem for a while, and then things kind of go past it, and I think we're probably in a good place now.
Yeah, part of it's content.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
It is.
He's having fun. He's getting in the New York Post.
And I know that. And I think in the end, I think I just got to a point, and I'm at that point now with Barstool where I think I'm just kind of past that point, in my life. I always realized, to me, doing what I like to do, owning it, and I think nowadays you can make a good amount of money owning stuff in media, right?
Yes.
And doing content and getting views and building your own things. Plus, I'm in control. And I've learned that about me. I can't work with people. I need to be in control of everything. And that's just how I prefer to do it. I have to do a lot more probably, but that's just how I like to do it. And I think in companies like that, you can only make one amount a lot of the time. I've learned in what I do, I have multiple sources of income, right? So, I told myself this year, Instagram was something that I wanted to conquer. I'd never really used it. And I said, this year I'm going to focus on trying to build Instagram, a following on Instagram, and build a following on TikTok and all this. So I was able to do it. And now I'm at a point where I make what I want to make. Do I want to do this my whole life? No. There's a day where all this will end for me. I won't be doing it.
Go away.
I'm not going to do it at all anymore. And I always look at it like this, and I'll end this with how I looked at my life always. In Casino, at the beginning of Casino, hear me out. De Niro's character is this sports bettor, very, good at it.
Ace Rusty.
Yeah, sure. And he goes through all this crazy shit, right? He runs Tangiers. He's on TV. He's a part of the Chicago outfit, essentially. He's involved with this crazy guy. They try to whack him, blow his car up. All this shit happens. And in the end, he's right back where he started, in his house, betting on sports. And I always envisioned, in a weird way, my life like that, where I started gambling as a kid. And I remember so many nights, in my early 20s, where I bet way more money than I had. And I remember sitting alone in my house, watching the games, sweating them out, and a lot of the time winning, and thinking this is what I enjoy. I love college football. There's nothing better to me on a Saturday morning, betting my games and just enjoying that. That's my happy thing, And I envisioned like I did all this stuff. I worked at Barstool. I fought in pay-per-view. I was on the New York Post. I've interviewed mobsters.
Yeah.
I've went to a mental facility because they thought I was a mobster and I wasn't. Like all this crazy shit that went on. Like someday and social media, as we talked about, is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get to a point someday where it's not my life anymore. And I've honestly always wanted in the next year or two to like own a real business, like something I can touch, whether it's food or something like that.
Didn't you say your dad ended up owning a business?
My dad was involved, still is. My family are very involved in business. My dad always taught all of us as kids to never work for anybody, go out and create a business. Yeah. And my brother and sister have their own businesses. And like I have as well, but I want a business that I can touch, that like I don't need to get views to get paid,
right?
Like something that I can be proud of and I can go to every day. And, honestly, in my later life, like I want to help kids. Like that's always been my goal. Like I always want to just make a bunch of money and just help kids. And I'll leave this story, and it's actually pretty local to where we are. You're familiar with Bobby Hurley?
Of course.
Okay, so he's one of my heroes. And the reason for that is
Coach Hurley.
Yeah, I don't know how much you know about him as a guy, but he basically was a probation officer for years in Jersey City, and he became a basketball coach at St. Anthony, and he never took a salary. And the little salary that they gave him, he gave to the school.
Yeah.
And he won 4 national titles and dozens of state titles.
They were a powerhouse.
Yeah, and he took so many kids to the NBA, and he did it all just because he loved basketball, and he never went and got a job anywhere else. And he just helped kids become men and become productive members of society. And I look at like all the shit I've done, like the stupid stuff I've said online. Like I almost want to like do something good for once, And like I think young men there's just not a lot of leaders. And I want to, the town I live in, we have a public school, and I've always wanted to just be a coach and just maybe have a business and just disappear from all this media stuff. And I don't want to look into mobsters my whole life. So I think that's the end game eventually. But for right now, it's fun, and you never know where I'll go next with it. So
that's really cool.
I'm here
man.
talking to someone like you. So
yeah, man. Look, you're great at content. I love watching it, and I hope people who haven't heard of you before check out your shit. But like, it's cool to see that you have like a kind of full circle give back thing about it. Like you want to get your own shit and have your own life and do things your own way, which that's exactly what most of us want too. But then you also want to do something cool, and to look up to someone like Coach Hurley, who obviously his kids are now famous as well. And have done some amazing things. Like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So it's but for right now, it's what I'm doing is fun, and people are learning a lot. It's cool. Like I'm sure you have it happen to you. Maybe you don't, but I would think you're huge. So I would think people come up to you. People come up to you. Do people come up to you and say they know who you are?
Very rarely.
So with me, I guess
I'm under the radar.
Yeah, with Barstool, I guess they do.
Yeah.
Like in my town where I live, I can't go to certain bars because I'll just be taking pictures all night with people.
Yeah.
So like, but I think it's cool. Like when someone comes up to me and they're like, hey, I saw that episode you did on, so and so, like, or I saw you on TikTok. Like, that's the coolest thing that will ever happen. Like, no matter what, I can make all the money, but like, someone come up to me and be like, hey, I really like that content, or that was really cool that you shared that. That's super cool. So, I don't know if I could ever let go of that. That's the cool part of all this, but.
Well, you're scratching your itch too. You're making content about stuff you love too.
Helps, whether it's the NFL draft or the mob or something. And if you follow me, I can't say you won't be offended maybe at some point, but
no, I mean this. You're a great follow.
Thanks.
It is funny as shit. You comment on all kinds of random shit as well, and I'm here for it, especially like on the new Twitter. Like,
I just say what you probably want to say, but won't
say out loud. That's
and I'll take the shit.
That's a good way to put it. All right, Jeff Nadu, this has been fucking fun, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing it. I'm glad we can make it happen.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Of course. All right, everybody else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me.
Peace.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.